Hi, and welcome to the Tranquil Cottage Knits podcast. I'm your host, Michelle. You can find me on Ravelry as Tranquil Cottage, Instagram is Tranquil Cottage Knits. You can find the blog at www.tranquilcottageknits.weebly.com, and you can find our Facebook group just by searching for Tranquil Cottage Knits in the Facebook search bar. So, hi! How are you guys? Welcome to 2021. This is the first episode of the new year. I saw somebody had posted a meme that said, does it bother anyone that 2021 is literally 2020 WON? And that just amused me to no end. Of course, my husband tells me I'm very punny, so I guess that's why I found it amusing. But yeah, so I have not done a podcast since just before Christmas. So I'm glad to be back up and running. Of course, I am, as usual, outside. I love to podcast outside. It's so much better than doing it inside. I am at one of our local parks called Fantasyland, and it's a lovely spot. You may be able to hear kids shouting and playing in the background. There's a huge playground right over here, and there's swings squeaking on this side where there's an adorable little tot in a purple jacket who's being pushed on the swing by her dad. So the little things that make us happy, right? I am hoping I'm not going to get too much popping on the mic because the wind is blowing a little bit. So I have it moved over to where it should theoretically shield so it doesn't pop too much. But if there is some popping, I apologize. It is like 42 degrees out here, and it would be absolutely nice if the wind wasn't just howling. It is so cold. The wind makes it so cold. So today is January 9th? Saturday, January 9th, I believe. It's either the 8th or the 9th. This is episode number 40 of the Tranquil Cottage Knits podcast. And so 2020 just kind of rolled in with a bang, didn't it? Everybody was looking so forward to the end of 2020, and then here's 2021. That is just, it's been hard. We've got a lot of political upheaval that's going on. In the UK, there's Brexit, and then in the US, there's just all kinds of... And you know what? When I go to Instagram or because Facebook to me is the place for BS. It's the place for the complaining and the whining and the political stuff. And so when I go to Instagram or when I go to watch one of my knitting podcasts, I'm going for the escape. I'm not going for the politicizing. So I'm not going to do that to you guys. Welcome to the safe zone. So we are going to talk about yarn and knitting and a couple of newfound things that I love. I do have to admit that I had a really hard time over Christmas. I made our traditional Christmas Eve chili. That is my husband's favorite thing. And his mom always made this thing that they called breakfast casserole. And so my lovely sister-in-law had sent me the recipe, and so I made that for breakfast Christmas morning. But I had such a hard time because I opened up Facebook to, just kind of wish a happy thing, my name is Michelle and I can't talk. I opened up Facebook to wish a Merry Christmas to friends and family, and when I did, it popped up, enjoy this memory from 6 years ago, and it was one of the very last Christmases at my mom's, before I lost her, and it was a picture of her Christmas tree laden with gifts, and in the background were the curtains that she made, and just all of these memories came flooding back, and I just had like this little breakdown Christmas morning. And while I would tell everyone else, and I often do, because, I've got, I'm kind of like one of those people that people talk to about what's going on, and I would always give them the advice and say, you have to allow yourself to grieve, and you have to allow yourself to acknowledge the loss to be able to grieve. And it's completely okay to feel however you need to feel for as long as you need to feel it. And that's what I would tell them. But I tell myself, suck it up, buttercup. You got things to do. And so I just really struggled. With it. And so Christmas was hard for me because of that. Harder than any Christmas that's come so far. And here we are 5 years after her death. So that was just, quite honestly, wretched. So that kind of put me in a funk, and my husband had taken off the whole week leading up to Christmas Day, because Christmas was on Friday, and so he goes back to work the following Monday, and all of a sudden, like, the sadness just wouldn't go away. And so I really struggled with it quite a bit. And my mother-in-law, bless her heart, she's got Alzheimer's and has struggles of her own. And so she caught me crying and was just in her absolute best way possible trying to console me. So she's like taking my face in her hands and she's going, "Oh, honey, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just a little sad." And she's like, "Oh, you are?" "Yeah, I'm a little sad right now. It's okay." And she's just like, "Oh, honey." And then she starts tearing up because she doesn't know how to process other people's emotions. So then I feel wretched that I've made her cry. And it was like just this little vicious cycle for a little bit. But I'm out of it. I'm doing much, much better. And I would love to tell you about 2 things that spurred that change. But before I do that, I am going to tell you about the things I'm wearing, because these are both things that I have finished since the last podcast. On my head, on me noggin, this is the CC Copycat Beanie. It is a free pattern on... Oh, God, my hair is I have hat head. Sorry about that. But I was much warmer with the hat on. So just for a close-up, it is made out of Monte Donegal tweed, and it is a comfy, smushy, double-brimmed, so my ears are nice and warm hat. And the pattern was absolutely a joy to knit. I wasn't even grumpy about a provisional cast-on, which normally I hate provisional cast-ons. But this one was innocuous, and I just love this hat so much. So go check it out on Ravelry. Again, free pattern. The Copycat CC, which stands for Colorado Chick Beanie. And the person who put the pattern out had gone on a trip somewhere, seen the hat, loved it, thought it was hand knit, kept finding people with this hat on, and if I remember correctly, never got the opportunity to look at one up close, came home, and then found somebody, I believe a family member had one, and so she grabbed it off their head and inspected it and counted stitches and then wrote up her own pattern. So you can knit one in whatever yarn you please. I feel like a vampire with my collar turned up so much, but with the wind it just won't stay down, and quite frankly I appreciate the windbreak. The next thing I finished is my Cozy Wozy. I am wearing it, and it is Cozy Wozy. It is exactly what it promised it would be. So it is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, and the colorway, I love the I-cord edging, so pretty. But it is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry. Again, it's called the Cozy Wozy shawl, and the yarn is Purple Lamb Fiber Arts Squoosh DK in the colorway Autumn Leaves, and it is a thing. I am also wearing, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm wearing my favorite Lucky shirt. You can't see it, haha. Anyway, it says Lucky. It's one of my favorite shirts. So I am wearing that, and I am putting my Cozy Wozy back on because since I took it off, I am no longer Cozy Wozy. But it is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, but it was a very enjoyable knit as long as you don't mind purl. There was a lot of purling in it, but it was absolutely lovely. The yarn is fabulous. Carla does such a great job. She's the dyer in Purple Lamb, and so I'm happy. I also did need to cast on something completely mindless, so I cast on a cowl, and I forgot to bring it with me because it is blocking on top of my washing machine, so I will show that off next podcast. And then the last thing for knitting is I am knitting with Barocco Sesame, and I fell in love with this colorway because I love the oranges and the reds, and it looked like fire to me, and it was so pretty. But as I'm knitting it, all of a sudden I looked down and I was like, oh no, I've got like maggots on my yarn. Like, are they moth larvae? Oh my gosh. And I freaked out for a minute before I realized it's just the white neps that are in the yarn. It looks like bugs crawling on my knitting. Can you guys see that? Maybe it's easier on the purl side to see. But there's all these like little white neps, and it freaked me out at first. And then I had to chuckle over it, and my mother-in-law goes, oh, that's so pretty. So it'll be a nice shawl. She'll love wearing it. I will forever get a chuckle out of it. So I'm not even mad. I just think it's hilarious. So now I think of it as the buggy shawl, which amuses me. So that is all I have for knitting. Spinning. I am not spinning, mostly because I am trying to get my house in order. So that I don't have any spinning to show this week. Maybe in a couple of weeks. We'll see. I do have some that I was working on, and I hope to finish. It was a bat, and I hope to finish that out. But, you know, we'll see. No pressure. I'm getting to it when I get to it. So to tell you about the two things that got me out of my funk. And the first one is an app, and this is not a paid ad. This is in no way, the company has no idea that I even like them. But, oh my gosh, is it helpful? I have, of course, caring for my mother-in-law, caregiver burnout is such a thing. And it is even more so with the isolation of COVID. Even on my time off, there's really nowhere to go. Like, I'm sitting out here right now, it's 42 degrees and windy. I'm cold. But we can go for a drive. But, you know, you always try to minimize your risks. And the cabin fever is so bad. It sucks so much. So, I have sometimes a hard time getting started, like kind of being overwhelmed at all of the things I really know that I need to do, but not having the drive to get any of them done. So you gotta dust and clean and sweep and mop. And when I think about doing it, there's so much of it that needs to be done. I had no idea how much German Shepherds shed. But there's just like so much to be done. I was really just overwhelmed that I procrastinated and didn't do any of it. And so I found this app called Sweepy, Sweepy. And oh my gosh, is it a game changer for me. You basically line up all the rooms in your house, or however you want to do that. You can also name your own rooms and things. But you load up all the rooms in your house, so you make a list, and then you just click on the tasks that you need to do in that room, and it creates a specialized list for each room. One of the generic tasks they have listed is tidy up. So for example, if I'm talking about, let's say I'm talking about the kitchen, tidy up for me is 15 minutes of just picking up things and putting them away. Just a quick tidy up. 15 minutes is all I'm committing to for that. Load the dishwasher, unload the dishwasher, clean the sink, clean the stove. Like, all of these things are individual tasks, and it is so helpful to me and the way I think and the way I'm motivated. I'm very task oriented, to be able to click something off and see progress. Because my husband doesn't, I can like move furniture and move things, and he will not even notice. Just doesn't even pay a bit of attention to it. So it is very super helpful and motivating for me to be able to just check things off. And it also reminds me of things that subconsciously feel pressing. Like, I will put undue pressure on myself thinking, oh, I really, really need to wash the pillows for the bed, and, whatever the task may be. Oh, I need to actually wash the duvet. And then I can go in and be like, oh, wait, that was just done, 5 days ago. It's not due for another 3 days, or, however, because you set your own schedule for however often you want things to be done. And you set an alarm time. So at noon, I get a list of tasks for the day. I knock them all out. If I happen to do an extra one, like while I'm in the bathroom doing a tidy up, if I go ahead and take the trash out, but that was tomorrow's task, I can go ahead and mark it done today. And then it tells me that I've done, like 114% of my daily goals, as opposed to 100%. And that, I can't even tell you how helpful that is to me in motivating me to get stuff done, and really helping me not feel overwhelmed, because I don't have to do everything today. I just have to do something today. And so the Sweepy app, I did their free trial, and loved it so much, I went ahead and invested in the year subscription, which was $12.99. So I can't even be mad about that. It's a reasonable cost for what it's giving me, and I'm very happy with it. So the second thing that brought me out of this funk that I have been in is trivia. Now, how this started was, I was so unbelievably sick of Little House on the Prairie. My mother-in-law loves it. She loves watching it. I think it's because it's nostalgic for her. Maybe that's back in the time that she's actually able to have a memory. Maybe the characters are familiar to her. The story does move at a very, very slow, obvious pace. But I find that it just comforts her. But I'm so tired of that show, so I actively went searching for something else that would engage her, and something else that would give her a little pleasure to watch. And I stumbled upon Game Show Network, and there was a show on there called America Says. And I am not terribly a fan of the show, because, okay, this sounds so petty, how the format is, they say, we asked Americans, kind of think of like a Family Feud format. We asked Americans, when I pack my lunch, I always bring a blank. Or then one of the answers will be, they give you the first letter of it, and then a little dash after to say about approximately how long the word is. And like, if they're like, I always bring a, and if one of the words is apple, it grates on my nerves so bad, because I'm like, it needs to be A/AN. I always bring a or an. Don't put something that begins with a vowel if you've said a. It bugs me so bad. It bugs me so bad. Kind of like the Oxford comma, right? But I can't complain, because I'm still one of those people who puts double space after the end of a sentence when I type. I've heard that is an outdated practice. We no longer need to do it. I think that is probably due to Twitter and the allowance of only so many characters. That process has gone the way of the dinosaur, but I don't know. So I had the show, I had the TV on Game Show Network, and her answers don't always make sense, but she yells out answers. So she engages with it, which means her mind is working, and she is actively engaged in something. Somebody's coming by. I'm going to pause one moment. Okay, I didn't want the noise of a car going by. So the picnic table I chose is up against the parking lot, at the end of the parking lot. So you occasionally get a car that comes through. So after watching this show, which she was really engaged in, so I left it on for her, there was a show that came on that I had never seen before. Now, I mean, the show is back from, like, I can't remember if it was 2014, 2016, but it's called The Chase. And it is a TV host named Brooke Burke and a quizzer, or really kind of brilliant guy, named Mark Labette, and they call him the Beast. And basically, contestants go up against him and try to win money by being able to answer trivia questions. And for the first time in quite a while, I was mentally engaged. I was on the edge of my seat. The timer's counting down. I'm like all excited for this show that aired like 4 years ago. But I loved it so much, and it made me so excited that I went and looked up the show, saw the time frame that it had aired, and was disappointed. Then I went and looked up Mark Labette and found that The Chase is actually a huge thing in the UK, and there's actually a new show that's kind of a spin-off called Beat the Chasers. And I started watching the episodes on YouTube and fell in love. The show is so dang good. It makes me laugh. Like, I laugh hysterically, but it is very cerebral humor for the most part. There was the Fanny Schmeller incident, but like, we don't go there. But it's so engaging, and there is that edge of your seat element, and the chasers are so personable. They're just like so witty and funny, and they have such a good gel. And it's very not only entertaining but exciting and engaging to watch. So, of course, from there, I like jumped in looking at the Twitter feeds and, keeping up with that, and found they were doing a US version again. But they have Ken Jennings as one of the chasers. And so that aired this week for the first time, and I watched it and I was so disappointed. It was so much slower paced, and the commentary by the chasers, instead of like the snark and humor that I love, was just snide. It felt like sitting more in a boardroom meeting when the lowest rung on the totem pole had just walked out the door, and I just couldn't get into it. I tried really hard. It also seemed like 15 minutes of content stretched into an hour-long program. So I was not pleased with it, and have now been researching how to get access to ITV and the Chase and Beat the Chasers here in the US, because it's not licensed for here. So yeah, so I've been looking at workarounds and things so I can watch this TV show that has absolutely reinvigorated my brain, made me laugh uproariously, and just is so flippin' incredibly pleasurable to watch. And just the chasers, the Dark Destroyer, the Sinnerman, the Vixen, the Governess, and the Beast. They are just, and now there's Dara, a new chaser. But they keep you on your toes and make you think outside of the box. Like, it's like math, and then you're thinking of philosophy, and then you're thinking of history, and then then they throw in a knitting question, and they asked the other day, in knitting, LP stands for, and I'm like, loop, come on, guys, and Jenny missed it. I'm like, oh my god, you guys so need a knitting cheat sheet, because since knitting kind of re-exploded in the early 2000s, there have been so many terms added to the lexicon. There was always knitting, but then, like, there's just so many things that have been added that weren't tinking, for example. Tinking is T-I-N-K, it's K-N-I-T backwards. It's when you pull your knitting out stitch by stitch. When you unravel it stitch by stitch. And I'm like, this is like a hole in their knowledge that I can clearly see. But I look forward to that 30 minutes of my day when that show is on, even though it's an old rerun. And I can't express how thankful I am for that show. It sounds dumb, but the UK version is loads better than the US version. Absolutely no comparison. I am also really enjoying Craig Ferguson as the host of The Hustler. I like that one. It keeps me on my toes, makes me think. But just Beat the Chasers is like my favorite thing right now, my favorite show. And I think if they were to do like a charity event and have one of the auction prizes, like a charity for auction, auction for charity. It's me. What do you expect? There's going to be flubs, right? Um, and if they were to do like an auction for charity and have dinner with the chasers as one of the prizes, I would freaking sell my house to go, because they are that witty and that fun. And I think literally just sitting down and having a meal and a drink with them would be one of the most pleasurable and engaging experiences that I can possibly imagine. So now I've joined some trivia groups and some pub trivia groups, and am diving into something. And so, like, when I was down, I couldn't think of what I needed. I couldn't figure out what I needed to pull me out. And it's that I was having COVID brain, like, where I just haven't been able to be social, and I'm intellectually suffering because of it. I also spend the majority of my day with somebody who has Alzheimer's and struggles to put words and sentences together, and like intellectually, socially, I wasn't getting any stimulation. And so this show has absolutely just completely reinvigorated my brain. And I am, like I said, I'm so utterly grateful, and am using workarounds to be able to watch the show here in the US. Is what it is, right? So, I guess that's about it. If you get a chance, go on YouTube, watch The Chase and Beat the Chasers, and you will see exactly what I mean about how vastly different the new version with Ken Jennings is versus the old version with Brooke Burns and Mark Labette. And then even that is different than the UK version. The UK version, the chemistry and the humor, it can't be beat. It just really can't. And when you throw in Beat the Chasers and they're all there kind of playing off each other, it just makes for really, really great television. And I kept wishing so hard when I was watching the ABC version, the new version with Ken Jennings, that Mark Labette, because he's like a big dude, he's like 6'6", 6'7", that's why they call him the Beast, right? And I just kept wishing that he would come out, grab the back of Ken Jennings' chair, tip it over and dump Ken Jennings onto the floor, sit down and say, "Let's get on with it." I wanted it so bad. But of course, you take what you can get, right? So anyway, I wish you all a wonderful week. I will try to post another episode next week. Hopefully it'll be a bit warmer and I will be able to keep the feeling in my toes. But until then, I love you all. Thank you for watching, and high five.